Good afternoon, students of Chinese YMCA Secondary School. We are now going to play you the news clip from yesterday.
North Korea has conducted a test for a hydrogen bomb it says can fit into an intercontinental ballistic missile. The explosion was measured at a magnitude of 6.3, which makes it by far the most powerful bomb North Korea has tested. Alan Buknia reports.
North Korean television trumpeted the test as a perfect success. It showed pictures of leader Kim Jong-un presiding over the nuclear program. It was the first nuclear test this year after 2 last year and could mean a significant step forward in Pyongyang's quest for a viable nuclear missile capable of striking the U.S. mainland. South Korean President Moon Jae-in held an emergency meeting of the National Security Council and called for the strongest possible response to the North Korea test to further isolate the rogue state. Moon, who favors engagement with the North, has had no success in slowing down Pyongyang's nuclear and missile testing program since taking office in May. Talks have long been stalled since the U.S. and its allies want North Korea to halt its nuclear program, and Pyongyang wants to be officially recognized as a nuclear state. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe called today's test absolutely unacceptable. He also called for a meeting of Japan's National Security Council. North Korea's nuclear and missile program has made huge strides since Kim Jong-un rose to power in 2011. The country is thought to have a growing arsenal of nuclear weapons and has spent decades trying to perfect a long-range missile capable of carrying nuclear bombs. In July, the North tested 2 ICBMs it says were capable of reaching mainland United States, and last week it flew a mid-range missile over northern Japan. Last month, Pyongyang threatened to fire 4 intermediate-range missiles at waters around the U.S. Pacific Island territory of Guam. Still, it's almost impossible to independently verify North Korean statements because its program is so highly secretive. Alan Buknia, TVB News.
The standby signal number 1 is still in force. However, the Hong Kong Observatory will consider issuing the strong wind signal number 3 tonight, depending on Tropical Storm Mawar's movement and intensity. At 7 p.m., Mawar was estimated to be about 210 kilometers east of Hong Kong. It is now forecast to move northwest or west-northwest in the general direction of the coast of eastern Guangdong. It is expected to make landfall tonight in the vicinity of Shanwei, and it will continue to move closer to Hong Kong. While local winds are not expected to strengthen significantly, the city should be on standby for squally showers and thunderstorms tonight and tomorrow. Members of the public are advised to take note of the latest weather situation before planning outdoor activities.
With Mawar moving closer to Hong Kong and making landfall over the coast of eastern Guangdong, the rain bands associated with Mawar will affect the Pearl River Delta. In Hong Kong, there will be heavy rain and squalls in the early parts of tomorrow.
Earlier today, preparations were in full swing in Guangdong and Fujian on the mainland for the approaching storm. All fishing boats in the eastern region of Guangdong province were advised to return to their home ports. The Coast Guard has been checking on necessary precaution measures in cities like Chaozhou, Shantou, and Shanwei. Some roads and bridges have been closed for safety reasons, and some train services have been suspended. Mawar is expected to weaken after making landfall, but it'll bring torrential rain to the coastal areas of Guangdong and Fujian, as well as to Taiwan.
Hong Kong recently experienced 2 storms during which the tropical cyclone signal number 8 or above was twice issued within 4 days. A former director of the Hong Kong Observatory warns the city will see much stronger typhoons in the future. Lam Chu Ying, who's also a green advocate, has also spoke out on the newly formed task force on land supply. Rachel Lung reports.
Just days after severe Typhoon Hato slammed into Hong Kong, the city was again brought to a standstill by severe tropical storm Pakar. The storms churned up huge waves along shorelines, posing threats to seafront communities. Speaking to TVB News, a former director of the Hong Kong Observatory gave an explanation for the phenomena.
A vast area of the Pacific Ocean in our vicinity was very warm. And where the seawater is warm, you have a lot of heat energy. And this heat energy eventually transforms into strong wind in the atmosphere. But if it is really too hot, one typhoon is not enough to take away the heat. Then you will see another one. And this, depending on the situation, it will follow suit and come again.
While the storms did not cause massive destruction in Hong Kong, Lam warns that the city will not always be so lucky.
Global warming, you see the word warming, that means that the sea is getting warm too. So we are expecting even stronger typhoons in the future. The numbers might not increase, but we would see much stronger typhoons. And if one hits Hong Kong, which is purely a matter of chance, then we will have to go through a very severe test.
Lam, who's also chairman of the Hong Kong Countryside Foundation, also talked about the 30-person task force on land supply recently set up by the government.
I'm surprised that in the membership there are no people who are environment professionals who were in a position to safeguard environmental concerns. And I'm also concerned that there are no people from the younger generation, in spite of the fact that we claim that this task force would help solve the land problem, which is intended to provide housing for the young people.
Lam believes there's enough land available to solve the housing problem.
There are options in which there is no need to create new land. For example, where we have a lot of roads and roundabouts on the seaward side of Yamate, is good enough to fit in a Nam Chang estate. For example, the golf course on Khao Sai Island. The size of the island is the same as Tin Shui Wai. Why can't we think of use these areas? And the reclaimed land reserved for the expansion of Disneyland is actually half the size of Tai Po plus Taiwan. So it could accommodate a lot of people. Is the extension of Disneyland more important than the housing needs of our people?
He urged the task force to be as transparent as possible to ease public doubts over the way it comes up with recommendations to increase land supply. Rachel Lang, TVB News.
The new operator of the Ferris wheel at the Central Harbour Front will have to build a new facility there. That's because the company has failed to reach a deal with the former operator over the existing observation wheel. Caleb Leung has more.
The Hong Kong observation wheel at Central Harbourfront has been closed to visitors since late August. The current operator has lost a tender to operate the Ferris wheel at the site for the next 3 years. The government says the new operator fared better than the other tenderer in terms of its technical submission and has a clear competitive edge on ticket pricing. According to officials, the new operator has already paid the government 6 months' rent as a deposit. A new 3-year lease of the site will commence once the site is handed over to it. Under the tenancy agreement, the new operator will build an observation wheel with a diameter of 55 meters. It is also allowed to continue using the existing wheel. So far, the new operator has not been able to reach a deal with the current operator to take over the existing facility. Unless the two companies can reach a deal, the current operator will have to dismantle the current wheel and return the site to the government in its original form by the end of next month. Secretary for Development Michael Wong says it will take around 2 months to have the wheel dismantled and the site restored. Wong believes the chance of the current operator resuming the observation wheel's operation while meeting the October 31st handover deadline is slim. He also says the new operator will have to build a new wheel if it fails to reach a deal over the existing one. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
The police arrested 76 people in Yuen Long and Tin Choi Wai over the past 2 days in an anti-triad operation. The 47 men and 29 women rounded up are aged between 16 and 69. Some of them are non-ethnic Chinese. They were arrested on suspicion of inviting others to become members of a triad society, possessing offensive weapons, and trafficking in dangerous drugs. Police say gang members usually target youths at bars, internet cafes, and parks. Then they buy them drinks or play with them in order to gain their confidence. The gangsters would then try to recruit the youngsters as new triad members and take part in illicit activities.